Hi, welcome to another segment of Our Ventura TV. My name is George Alger, and today we're going to be speaking about CASA of Ventura County. Our guests today are the Executive Director of the group, Miriam Mack, and a volunteer advocate, and that would be Gerry Rubey. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yes, great to have you. Miriam, let's get right into what is CASA of Ventura County.
Well, think about the fact that last year in Ventura County, about almost 600 children were removed from their homes. And the majority of the reason was because of neglect. The other half was mostly because of physical or emotional abuse. And once these children are removed, they're safe, they're under the protection of the county, but their journey is very difficult. And people don't understand that they move among caregivers, they have to interact with a number of social workers, they have to change schools, they're separated from their family, from their brothers and sisters. And during this very difficult time in their lives, we believe at CASA that they need a trained, compassionate advocate to be with them. And so what we do at CASA, which is court-appointed special advocates, we recruit, we screen, we train, we supervise community volunteers who become sworn officers of the court and then are paired with a child in the foster care system for whom they advocate until that child can find a permanent home.
Good. Now, I know that there are some processes already in place in various organizations that are working with foster children. How do you fit into this puzzle?
Well, we view CASA as a very collaborative venture, so that we're working hand in hand with the service providers that are assigned to support and assist a child that's a dependent of the court in Ventura County. So our volunteers, after an immense amount of training and preparation, are matched, and they understand how to communicate with the judge, to the attorneys, teachers, therapists, foster placements, biologic parents. All the people that are involved in the case are those that we deal with all the time on our cases.
So you are a volunteer advocate, and would I be correct in presuming that's an advocate for the child?
Our sole purpose is to support the child through the process of their court dependency. Kids who are court dependent are traditionally in what we call the system. It's a rough spot for a child. The younger ones simply don't understand what happened. The older ones could be going through a lot of emotional turmoil, and we're the ones that really support that child through the process, through multiple changes of placement, social workers, schools relocating, all those things. And that's what our volunteers do.
Good. I'd like to get a little more info about the process as it relates to the kids, but even just step back a bit from that. What is the criteria that a child could actually be removed from the parents?
Well, the county will make that determination. I mean, the county receives 17,000 calls to its hotline, and it investigates 9,000 calls a year. And of those, they are going out, they are checking, and a child may be removed due to abuse, due to neglect, due to emotional abuse. And where the county deems it's unsafe, a social worker or a police officer may show up at the house and remove that child in the middle of the night to ensure that they are safe and not harmed. So they are then brought into the court system, and if at their first hearing, if it is determined that the family needs help, that there are problems that need to be resolved before the child can safely be returned, that child, the judge will determine that the child needs to remain in the system, be taken out of the home, and for those that the judge feels are most in need, he will also say, I would like this child appointed to the CASA program. And then it is our responsibility to find a volunteer a trained volunteer who will then work with that child and work with that case. Unfortunately, there are more children being assigned and appointed to our program than we have volunteers. We have maybe 50 children on our wait list right now. It goes up and down, but that's why we are out in the community trying to make people aware of our program, which has existed in Ventura County since 1985. But the numbers are growing at a very fast pace. We hear from our colleagues in Child and Family Services, and so it's our responsibility to really fill that gap with trained volunteers who can work with the kids and the cases.
I understand. Maybe you can speak to the processes from the kids' point of view. I mean, what is going on with the kids as they're, being removed from their parents and then moving into the system?
Yeah.
It's a highly emotionally charged experience that these kids have, being taken away from their pets. That's a huge loss for them, their friends in the neighborhood. So, and what we find in 99.9% of the cases is that despite the failings of the biologic parents, the children do want to be returned home. And they do love their parents, and the parents do love them. It's just some of the overwhelming problems that the parents have that preclude them from parenting up to a certain standard that we accept. So many of the kids have to be in therapy. Many of the kids are so emotionally traumatized that they need to go into special education classes. Their learning is interrupted. And they come sometimes with increased dental issues, some medical issues, and the county is very well equipped to deal with that, and we as partners help them through that.
Every time a child is moved from a different school, and every effort is made to keep them in the school of origin, they lose 6 months of education. And if these kids are moving 3 and 4 times, they're way, way behind. And in fact, society needs to deal with foster children because they become adults. And the statistics are incredible. Less than 2% of children who have been in the foster care system will get a BA, a bachelor's degree, versus 24% of the population in general. The experience of homelessness after exiting the system, 25% are going to be homeless, are going to be incarcerated, are going to be on public assistance. It's almost about 20% of the population in those categories are from the foster system. So it doesn't help society to ignore that problem, and that's why CASA, which is a national program, and about 45 programs right here in California, has been set up to really make sure that the best possible care can be given to help guide these children into a better future.
And as Miriam was talking about, the journey that we take with these children has a fun side to it as well. Yes, there are some very negative circumstances that bring kids into care, but we also try to provide some diversion for these kids. We see them once a week, 3-4 times a month. We take them out of their placement. We do something that's either educationally enriching or just plain fun. Some of our volunteers will take kids to the movies. They take them to the Moore Park Zoo, for example. A lot of these kids have never been to the beach, even though they live in a beach community. To the library, they help with homework. And it actually is very reassuring, and it's a wonderful feeling that you get when the little light bulb goes on in the kid and they had never seen something before, or they had never considered it. And I always tell the volunteers when I'm training them is that this job, even though we don't get paid for it, needs to be fun. You yourself need to be getting something out of it in order to be able to pour your time and your energy into it. And I would say that's an absolute, that the volunteers just are really engaged with that child and understanding what they need, and doing that with them, and having a good time while they're doing it.
That's a good segue into what does it take to be a volunteer?
Yeah. Well, our standards are prescribed by National CASA, California CASA, the Administrative Office of the Court of California, but we recruit, we screen, we get references, DMV, Department of Justice, FBI, so personal interviews. We then have 30 hours of training that deals with issues from cultural competency to family and child development to the role of the CASA to the role of the court. They are mandated child abuse reporters. That we ask our trainees to observe a court case first. We ask them to go out into the community and sort of research some of the resources and programs that are available. So they finish their training, they're sworn, which is a very moving ceremony, even though, you know, it's right in the court, and they raise their hand and they take an oath. And then they come into our office, and our supervisor, such as Gerry, presents them with a couple cases that they think would be, you know, compatible, because you said to me, I want to deal with a little boy, or I want to deal with a teenager, or whatever. And we have volunteer supervisors and staff, and they're available 24/7. So as you go out, you meet your child, you meet the caregiver, you make arrangements. I'm going to come every Saturday, I'm going to come every other Thursday. You report to us. That we ask the volunteers to let us know what their time is and how the child is progressing. And then every 6 months, it comes time to report to the court, and all the social workers and everybody else are assembling their information to provide the judge with information about how this child is doing, how the family is, how other entities are providing other information, so that the judge can make a determination about the child's future. But it's
well, another qualification I think that an advocate needs to have is the ability to really be a very responsible adult. These kids have been betrayed by the adults that they trust the most. And we tell our volunteers, if you say you're going to pick a child up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you need to be there by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're late, of course, everyone has cell phones, you make a quick phone call. You need to use exceptionally good common sense, all right? There's no requirement that you have to graduate from college or anything like that. We want people that their heart is in the right place, they have a passion for children, and the fact that children need good role models. And part of our responsibility is being a mentor and showing a child that there are responsible adults, and this is how you act when you're a responsible adult. It's not something that we really can train people to be. You either are or you aren't. And in our extensive interviewing process, we determine that a person can be a good advocate. They don't have to be a parent themselves. They can be without a child. We say everyone is part of a family at one point or another, and we know how these dynamics work, and we're just looking for people that want to do a good deed for a child that didn't do anything wrong, and we assist them in that journey.
Well said. Well, ladies, we're out of time. But before we close the show, I'd like to find out, is there a summating message you'd like to convey to the viewers, and is there a website people can go to for more information?
Yeah, we can't abandon our children, our most vulnerable children. This is a program that really, I think, helps them immensely. It's been proven. And I think it affects the volunteer, because the volunteer all of a sudden knows so much. They get so much out of it because they learn about their community. We have information sessions every month, and so I encourage anybody who's interested to go to our website, CASA of Ventura County.org, to find out the time and place of our information sessions. And if any of your viewers want to or know of someone who might be interested, to contact us, because our waiting list, as I said, is long, and those children, that's a long time in those children's life to wait for a CASA, to wait to find permanency. So we really cannot wait. We have to act now.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Gerry, for all that you're doing.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
This is George Alger signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we meet again.